about 30 seconds. We're going. Everybody, welcome to the principal's office. I am so glad that you are here. Everybody that's joining me live on Clubhouse as well as on the other platforms, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. I am Jamal, an igniter of champion leaders. I help aspiring school leaders make the shift out of the classroom into the principal's office. And those of you who are watching me live on the video, remember to join me on Clubhouse as soon as this video ends, so that you can join and participate in the discussion where we're going to go deeper into the content. So here it is. And if you're watching me on video, remember to comment, like, share, and save it so that you can always refer back to this content. All right, so here we go. So everybody, we're talking about unleashing a creative culture. And before we start, I want to define what creativity is and what it means to be creative. And so as I was just looking at some definitions, I found, some very interesting things. Creativity from the Oxford Language Dictionary refers to the use of the imagination or original ideas. And so creativity is defined as using our imagination or using original ideas. And so in order to be creative, we have to use original ideas, which almost seems like an oxymoron, because a lot of times in education, we want people to be creative. We want to encourage creativity, but we find that especially at the college level, we have to have so many sources to support our work, and we have to have so many quotes. But to truly be creative, it's allowing us to have original thought based upon what we're seeing, learning, and hearing. Here's how dictionary.com defines creativity. It's defined as the ability to transcend traditional ideas, rules, patterns, relationships, or the like. I like that. It says it's to transcend, meaning to have an ability to think or act beyond or above rules, patterns, relationships, and traditional ideas. And when we operate or transcend those traditional ideas, it goes along to say to create meaningful new ideas, forms, methods, and interpretation. It also implies progressiveness and imagination. And so in this place that we are leading in our schools, we have to find a way to unlock our creativity so we can transcend what has traditionally been done, traditionally been said, or what's currently being done, or what's currently being said. Because the only way to have solution and find new solutions to old problems is to transcend how we are doing things and transcend how we're thinking. And we can't think at a higher level or transcend these high or operate in this higher place without tapping into the creative ability that's within us. And so here's the next point I want to make. Traditionally, creativity has been limited to certain subjects. We've limited the thought of creativity and the teaching of creativity to subjects like art, music, graphic design, carpentry, and we have not looked at the traditional subjects in a way where it can be taught creatively or expressed creatively. We have tried to tell teachers as well as principals to be creative in a environment that's structured and rigid, that's constraining and restraining. but we have to really allow the freedom to be creative beyond what we think a subject matter should be able to be expressed in, if I could say it that way. Now, here's the next thing. Now, when we start thinking about creativity, I would tell you that there's been a greater focus on the science of teaching and learning more than the art of teaching, which has created a healthy balance. Teaching and leading is a science as well as an art. And so a lot of times we think about the science, which are the principles of it, and the hypothesis, and we try something and get a response and we adapt. All of those things are good and all of those things are okay, but you have to balance that with the art. The art of leading, the art of teaching is about having that organic and human connection with other people, and just a connection and flow in the environment that allows it to be successful. When you emphasize the science more than the art, or the art more than the science, what happens is what's created is this unhealthy balance. And when one thing is highlighted more than the other in a school, you already know the non-highlighted thing is going to suffer. It reminds me of when I was leading a school, and we were looking to turn around the school, and so we wanted to focus on literacy in order to bring up student achievement. Now, the issue is we focused on literacy, student achievement in ELA improved, but math and science didn't improve. Why was that? Because one, we didn't have a good definition of literacy that encompassed every subject, and that's a totally different training. But two, we ended up focusing on ELA as a subject. And when we focused on the one subject, the other subjects suffered. So it's the same way. When we focus on the science of teaching, we suffer in the art of teaching. If we focus so much on the art, we miss out the science. There has to be a healthy blend between the two in order to be effective. Now, I'm going to tell you that bringing out the creative ability in students, that was only discussed with me in my teacher prep program in terms of identifying gifted students. We didn't talk about bringing out the creative ability in every student, and we definitely didn't talk about bringing out the creative ability in teachers during my principal prep program. It was all about, if this student is identified as gifted, then they might be creative, they might be a genius in the making, and here's how you identify them, and here's what you do. What about the fact that every student has genius in them and every teacher has genius in them? And we have to not only identify, but steward and cultivate their creative ability and allow it to be released in the school environment. And so every student, every teacher can benefit from growing and tapping into their creative side or their creative ability. Some people will say, well, I'm not creative and things like that, but everyone has the capacity to be creative. It's in them. Now, some people are more structured than others, and some people are not. Now, I'm going to tell you, for me personally, I have that balance. I'm very structured, very highly structured, very organized, very strategic, but I'm also extremely creative. So I have to have structure, but then I also have to have freedom in order to make something, create something, adapt something, change something. Now, we don't, how many teachers in your building are that way? How many students are in your building that are that way? And we have to bring out their creative ability. And we can't bring out the creative ability of the teachers we're serving through our leadership. Well, let me say it this way. We can't bring out the creative ability of the students we're serving through our leadership without first bringing out the creative ability of the teachers. Because creativity has to be taught and it has to be modeled. And you can't model something that you're not actually walking in or applying. So I'm going to give two strategies right now, two things. There are a lot more that I could give, that I could help you with to establish a creative culture. But here are two things I'm going to give you right now. And so hopefully you're taking notes or making mental notes, taking written notes, or whatever you're doing. It says this. Number one, make sure that ideas can be shared and that they are not ignored. Now, that goes right back to what I talked about last week in the principal's office about hearing. Hearing ideas is a heart posture as well as a system you put in place. You have to have the heart to really hear, but then the systems in place to collect those ideas. Now, the key is when you collect them, you don't ignore them. If you can't act on them, you give other people the freedom to act on them. If it's not feasible to act on, you talk about maybe why and see how you can make it feasible. Now, here is the science behind it. You can always experiment to see if something's going to work. Sometimes as leaders, we're so concerned about being held accountable, somebody holding us accountable for the performance of the school, that we are afraid of failing, and then that translates into making the teachers afraid to fail and the students afraid to fail. But we have to be okay with allowing risk taking, because that's one of the characteristics of a creative individual. Now, here's the second one. I want you to encourage the perspective that there is more than one way to achieve a result. Because here's this. I'm going to quote somebody, some research from Fleeth and Redskine, who released this research back in 2000. It says that when they described an atmosphere that hinders creativity, one of the things they said was that students and teachers cannot share their ideas, and the atmosphere is one that says there's only one right way to get the right answer. And then they also listed fear and controlling teachers and controlling leadership. And so you want to unleash creativity by allowing ideas to be given, allowing those ideas to be shared and not ignored, and then also helping people understand there is more than one way to reach the solution, and no one solution is greater than the other. And so that's it for all of those who are watching the video. That's it for this week's Principal's Office. I want you to join me right now on Clubhouse in the Principal's Office room so that we can have the live discussion. Remember to comment, like, and share. And for all of you who are ready to ignite your dream, I want you to join me this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern for the Dream Igniters guided strategy session, where I will walk you through how to plan strategically using the timeline method to plan out your dream so you can step into it. All right, so that's it for this week. I want you to be successful and lead like a champion.